Should you tell the people who work in your salon that you're selling the business? This is the controversial topic we'll be talking about today. Hi there, my name is Susan Bosch. I am the founder of the only beauty industry brokerage, Salon Spa Connection. We help salon, spa, and barbershop owners sell their businesses, and we can help you. Link in the description to check out how we've helped hundreds of owners exit ownership. I invited Rob Hinds here to join me to discuss this very unusual topic, telling your salon employees or booth renters you are selling the business. I know you may be thinking, why would I take that kind of risk? While ultimately you have to do what's best for you in your situation, I would invite you to listen to what Rob has to say. He has coached salon owners I personally know to tell their staff they're selling the salon and no one left. I thought this was so interesting and definitely not the norm. So let's dig into this topic. Rob, how's it going?
It's going well, Susan. Thank you so much for having me on. You know, I'm a big fan of you and what you do. This is going to be immensely helpful for a lot of people.
I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm really excited. I actually don't know what you're going to say at all. And so I'm probably as excited to watch this as anybody else who might be watching this. Rob, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for business owners?
Sure. For business owners, I have three pillars to my services. There's personal coaching, there's business consulting, and then there's training and development programs to teach the soft skills that often go missing in the workplace. And really, between the personal coaching and the business consulting, those seem to combine together many times because people need help personally as much as they do in their business. So I'm happy to provide those services.
Awesome. Well, all right, let's get into it. So this conversation all came up because of you. And so I figured you would be the best person to talk about this with me. So tell me, why is it a good idea to tell the staff you're putting the business up for sale?
Well, maybe we should put the disclaimer out there again that this may not be for everybody, and this is a massively fear-filled conversation and subject matter.
Mhm.
That said, the reason is people more today, employees, independent contractors, whether you work for somebody or with somebody, transparency, honesty, and solid communication are the top pillars that they're looking for, more so than sometimes pay or benefits or anything like that. They want people to be straight with them. They want people to be transparent. So this is one of those places to where it's immensely uncomfortable. However, if you do it well and you have great preparation and a great approach, you can absolutely conquer this and still have a business going when you exit.
Well, the fact is that everybody retires at some point. You know, people move, they get sick. There's a variety of reasons for selling other than someone's just tired of it. And so I think that, that so many times people will see a business for sale and they think, oh, what's wrong with it? And it's like, nothing's wrong with it. People have a massive amount of reasons for, exiting, anywhere from moving to, getting sick. I mean, there's just so many different reasons. I talked to a lady the other day who her salon had sold, and she was offended that no one told her. She didn't like the surprise element. And so I actually
Mhm.
talked to her a little bit about why that this was a huge salon too. And so we talked a little bit about why that took place, but her feeling was she was just like her feelings were hurt. And so I thought that was pretty interesting.
That's that's prominent.
Mhm.
And especially in the beauty industry, Susan, it hasn't been an overall culture of honesty in that regard. And a lot of it's actually tied to a lot of internal emotions of the owner and the feeling around their staff. If
Mhm.
they haven't created a culture of psychological safety around the staff in their business up to that point, why would they all of a sudden be transparent and honest? And then there's also those emotional feelings toward it. You
Mhm.
know, if I tell them there's a fear, well, they're just going to leave.
Mhm.
Or they might have the fear of I might hurt their feelings, or
Mhm.
I might feel like I let them down. there's so many emotions that go into that. And you're absolutely right. And with the beauty industry being a lot of technical people, actual technicians that work with their hands, their hips, their knees, their back, sometimes people need to exit the industry or at least that position for multiple different reasons. It only hurts people to not be transparent these days.
I love that. So does it work for all beauty industry businesses to tell the staff that they're going to sell or just some?
That's a tough question. The short answer is no, it doesn't work for every business,
Mhm.
and here's why. If they haven't created a true, honest, open communication up to this point, it's really hard to implement that, especially at the end of the game.
Mhm.
So it's not for every business. However, transparency is always relevant in any business.
Agreed. Agreed. What type of dynamic in the salon should already be in place to be able to tell the staff the salon is for sale?
Well, the great thing about this is there's both direct and indirect indications.
Mm.
So some of the direct indications are, maybe the owner of the salon is either getting a little bit older or has had some physical ailments or has really decided to take a different direction in their life. Those are some of the things that people see.
Mhm.
If they're paying attention enough, you would see that maybe an owner isn't as dialed in or enchanted about the business, or maybe just wanting to expand into something else. So those are things that a team or a staff would see ahead of time.
Mhm.
Now, for the things that are a little less obvious, it would take that open communication, and maybe it's even ahead of time. You could maybe say, "Well, Susan, you know what? I'm actually looking at exiting the business. Is there anybody here that would like to take over for me? That's not going to happen for another 2 years, 5 years, but at least you get people thinking about that in the conversation." If you keep those things open, it does help with that communication.
I agree with that. And a lot of times we consult with sellers who are thinking about, well, they're thinking about selling and they come to us for that conversation. And an employee buyout will come up and we'll say, you really need to make sure that there's nobody in the business right now that isn't interested in buying your business. Because we've many, many times, it just happened last week. An employee stepped up and said, you know what, I would love to be a business owner. And
Uh,
while I hate to lose business, it's a great situation. And that is an easy conversation to have. Like you said, when you sort of lay out sort of those precursors to what is going to happen in the future.
I
Whenever
love that, and at the end of the day, you never know.
you don't.
If you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't put the information out there in the universe, if you're a believer of those, law of attraction or any of those things, if you put it out there, and you and I have talked several times about, putting the information out there is one thing, the approach is another thing.
Mhm.
How that information gets out there, how that information is told or explained, those are very important pieces as well.
Agreed. So, what are the benefits for both the seller and the buyer of the business when the staff already knows that the salon is for sale?
Yeah. So once the cat is officially out of the bag and everybody's well informed, now both can focus on moving forward.
Mhm.
The existing owner could focus on their exit strategy and making sure everything and everybody is well taken care of in the process. And the new owner could really get down to, okay, what are some of the things within the business that are working well that I could build even stronger? And what are some of the things I could improve? When you don't have that communication, you're always wondering, well, I don't want them to find out about this, or I don't want this to get out. And you're wasting your mind's energy and your mind space on the things that could be easily already out there so you could move forward. Moving forward is the biggest piece.
Right, and what a relief that would be. I mean, it's scary leading up, but that I feel like things that you have to keep, under wraps really weigh on you.
It does. And the other thing it does, the perception and or the reality of it is that's also what people look at as dishonest.
Yeah, exactly. Like
You
that
know,
stylist, yeah.
there's a bunch of quotes out there about it, but basically being silent if you have something to say is a lie.
Right.
So,
Love that.
yeah.
So, so if an owner does go and tell the staff that the salon is for sale, how do they deal with fears or negative consequences should they arise or as they arise?
Well, the first thing they would want to do is let them know, hey, here's some information for you. Just know that I'm here, or we're here for you. We're
Mhm.
here to listen. We're here to answer questions. We're here to be as transparent as possible. We're here to look out for your future. So a lot of times when you reveal those things, somebody will say, well, I'm nervous about going to a new salon, or I'm nervous about getting a job somewhere else, or anything like that. If
Mhm.
you have open communication, those owners could easily step up and say, well, you know what? Not only will I give you a glowing recommendation, there are some owners that turn around and say, we'll help you with your search,
Mhm.
or, or at least help them with the skills to make that transition when it needs to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So, how does the staff being aware of the business being for sale affect buyers of the salon?
So for the buyers, the staff being aware, here's what I'll say. True character of a person is revealed in the most challenging times.
Mhm.
So you may see an immediate exodus.
Mhm.
You may see a plethora of questions and clarifications, and I want to make sure that I'm well taken care of, and all those things. You may see total silence, which can translate into, well, we're going to leave, we're just not going to tell you.
Mhm.
And, that transfer of honesty goes both ways. That's a two-way street. So those are really a couple of the things they can expect. Again, Susan, it depends on how they approach the subject, how they communicate it, how open they are with people. And then if they've had that culture of psychological safety, that'll be better. If they haven't, there's going to be a lot they're going to wonder.
Exactly, exactly. And there's so much leading up to that. I think if there is that trust and transparency and really positive, good relationship, it's so much easier rather than somebody just decides, well, I'm going to switch things around here real quick. It doesn't really work like that. It takes a long time to build those things up.
Yeah. And really, when I work with people, the majority of the time, people always say, we have a great relationship.
Mhm.
We're a fun team. We're all one, all those things, a lot of them are platitudes and, motivational posters and stuff like that. But when you look at true culture, it's how you walk in the door every day, even on your worst day.
Right.
And how are you helpful to others consistently, not just when you feel like it. There are all those things that come into play. And it's interesting, once these things start to come out in the open, then you find out how real and how strong or weak those relationships really are.
Exactly.
And for a new owner coming in, I'd rather know that sooner than later. Even though I might be fearful of, wow, what if they all leave? I would rather have that than
Mhm.
them stay with the internal plans of leaving, and then you're going to be shocked at some point.
Well, and I will tell buyers when we do get salons for sale where the employees or booth runners know that it's for sale, to me, it's a gift for the buyers because the buyer has that it takes a lot of that fear away. If they were going to leave, they probably would have.
Most of the time, yes.
Hmm.
If they're especially as ingrained as teams can be. Now, if you have a team of all new people and they're brand new in the business, chances are they might leave or explore something else, or they might stay to see what happens.
Hmm.
When you have a massive experienced staff, chances are they're not tremendously motivated to go somewhere else.
Hmm.
They most of the time they'll give the new owner a chance
Yeah.
to step up, because if they were already a foot out the door or looking or that sort of thing, that transition's going to happen regardless.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's usually what happens when a salon sells. If people leave, 9 times out of 10, they were already thinking about leaving anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
You
not
know,
because
that
it's a
that
buyer
9 times out of 10 is generous. It's probably 10 out of 10, but we don't like to say 100% on anything.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But and there's already those thoughts, and so one more thing for them really is just that push, or it's already in motion, truthfully.
Yeah. And again, depending on the experience level or even the mindset of your employees or the team, they might be so ingrained that they're like, you know what, we're going to stick this out to the bitter end. Whether that's for good or bad, that's to be determined. But and for the newer people, a lot of people are inspired by change.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
maybe
exactly.
some of those new to newer people are like, okay, let's see what flourishes out of this.
Mhm. That's exactly right. Well, and we throw that word culture around, but if the culture is not so great, I would guarantee, I mean, people don't buy businesses in order to disrupt them. They buy businesses in order to grow them. And so they're going to quickly identify and probably hear a lot of the stuff that the post owner didn't hear, the seller didn't hear, and be able to implement some really great changes.
That's 100% for sure.
Mhm.
That is the key for a new buyer coming in, is they're going to be told a lot of the truths that previously either weren't said, or some person tried one time to say something and then they gave up because they didn't see change. So there's a lot of benefits for the new buyers coming in, even with a fearful team. If
Mhm.
you could really listen to them and let them know what the plan is, be detailed,
Mhm.
be timely.
Mhm.
If you could put all those things into play, chances are that whole fear of everybody's going to leave, that's only for the people that were already planning that, to your point from earlier.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. What type of resources do you think that beauty industry owners can find if they want to learn more about this topic?
Well, you know that I'm a big proponent of research,
Yep.
books, facts, that sort of thing. I will say this before I get into resources, for the resources I encourage people not to take too much into is other people's opinions, what other people are doing. Even if it's successful, it may not be successful for your business.
Mhm.
I would put opinions and everybody putting in their 2 cents, I would put that all aside. Go to researched information, even if it's outside the industry, which is sometimes better because it's unbiased. And there are actually books that I recommend, and if you're okay with it, I'll name a couple of the books and just quickly what they're about. And people could look at those resources, and they're extremely valuable.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead and list off a couple.
Okay, so the first book I'm going to recommend is called The Fearless Organization by Amy Edmondson.
Mhm.
And this is a book on psychological safety, making people in a company feel comfortable to be as honest and upfront and speak up as possible. Then there's a book called The Attributes by Rich Diviney. And basically, this is the hidden drivers of optimal performance within a team. The next one is called No Fail Meetings. And this is actually a short book by Michael Hyatt. It's very impactful, though, because it shows you how to have productive meetings, whether it's a group meeting or one on ones or just having a conversation with somebody. Really good information. There's The Five Disruptions of a Team. This is by Patrick Lencioni, who is by far one of the experts on team building. So this is real team building. This isn't team building like, oh, we're all going to go to a show together and be happy for 2 to 3 days and then come back and be miserable. This is true team building and the things that create dysfunction in a team. And then the last one I'm going to recommend, and I know you kind of lit up when I mentioned this one to you, was Culture Renovation. And this is by Kevin Oakes. And this is true culture building. Again, culture is the way you walk in the door every single day, despite your best or worst day ever. And Kevin really notes a lot of habits, a lot of structural things to build a solid culture in a business that doesn't revolve around pizza parties and hype fests and stuff like that.
Right. Very good. Well, I really appreciate this conversation because I will say that the nature of selling a business is kind of the opposite of what real estate is. Real estate, you can
Mm,
see photos of the house, you know exactly where it is. And selling a business by and large is almost all private. And, we've sold a number of businesses that were either semi private or public.
mm.
And so there's so many different ways to slice things up. And when people get in their mind one thing, it kind of drives me crazy because there's so many different ways to slice things up,
That's for sure. That's
truthfully.
that's absolutely correct. You might look at a business from their numbers aspect and maybe the numbers look good, or you look at their location, or the things that are kind of tangible and you could see. It's really the intangibles.
Mhm.
What is the service record? What are the reviews like?
Yeah.
What is the turnover rate been for the team? And a lot of those things. So what you do, I'm a huge fan of you and what you do. This is absolutely unbelievable for people. So
Thank you.
I hope this brings a lot of people your way.
Rob, I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a great conversation. I was excited to hear what you had to say. How can people get a hold of you?
Great. Well, thank you for that, Susan, and I appreciate being on with you.
Yeah,
The best way to contact me is through my website, which is coachingforsmallbusinesses.com.
very good. If you would like help in telling your salon staff you're selling the business, feel free to reach out to Rob. I put his links in the description of this video. If you need help selling your beauty business or you'd like to chat with a team member about selling, contact Salon Spot Connection. Links to get a hold of us are below. Feel free to reach out to me. I love talking to buyers and sellers of all shapes and sizes. And thank you for watching this video.